Thank you so much for your time today, Jeff. We're thrilled to have you, and we're excited to spotlight you here as one of our attorneys at Paragon.
Thank you.
What's one thing about you, either personally or professionally, that you would want every client to know about you? What's
I was doing privacy work long before there was any privacy laws except for in the United States, except for like the Privacy Act of 1974. So I was here when the HIPAA came along. I was in practice when when all of the changes came along in the U.S. So I've had the opportunity to grow up with it. Because of that, it gives me a unique perspective of having watched the discipline go from just odds and ends to really a very matured with a path forward, I think, where it's going to become more mature as time goes by. With AI coming into it, the things that, we had a level of risk in the 90s and in the early 2000s that now I can almost sit and laugh at what we were considering risks then compared to what we are now. And so it's definitely something that has required staying on top of, and that's the beauty of it, because it changes so quickly. You don't get bored with it.
What qualities do you think it takes to succeed in the Paragon work model?
Flexibility. If nothing else, you've got to be able to adapt, recognize what your client needs, and then address those needs as much as you can. Address them in a timely manner, and and be able to pivot. If one way isn't working, back up, turn around, and go the other way. But it really is, a lot of it's just about being flexible and being able to adapt to your client's environment.
I think that's a fantastic answer, and that is something we tell our team members all the time, especially when they're new to project work, because like you said, every client's different. Every client has different needs, different environment, different sort of take on things. So the ability to be flexible, I would agree from my experience, is key to the success on project. In that vein of newness, in sort of opportunities for growth, it's almost like you're perpetually arriving as the new kid on the block when you come onto a new project. So any tips for making those first couple days or weeks go smoothly?
Be accessible, be obvious, be open to questions, invite questions, and at the same time, be a sponge. Just draw in everything that you can, because as the assignment goes on, it becomes more and more of a growing and an evolving thing. But those first few days are when it is so critical to really establish, really get your grounding and your feet under you properly.
Has working at Paragon changed or influenced your view on the law, the legal profession, or the workplace at all?
Tremendously. I've been in practice now very close to 40 years. And I started out in litigation, and I was a small, mostly 3-attorney firm for that time. And I burned out on it. I had done and seen, and I had all I'd wanted of law practice. And I've spent a number of years in senior management, in records management, and then privacy and information governance. So I've been in this space, I've operated in this space through the whole time, but I had a long break in there of being more in leadership roles and less in the practice. What I'm doing now, it is the perfect evolution, because I'm able to take the practical experiences of having been in the leadership and working with the business in different aspects and apply really, I think, a better ability of analyzing and applying legal skills now than I had 30 years ago when I was still a young lawyer. It's just this, it's been an evolution. And the Paragon model of being able to go in as an attorney and not be so much caught up in the politics of the operation of the organization. You're there to accomplish a purpose. It has just made it a delight and a pleasure to do now. It's to where now I've had people ask me about retiring, and I say my retirement plans are to work until noon of the day of my funeral and take PTO for the afternoon.
There you go. There you go. Well, then you must love what you do, right?
I do.
Because otherwise, why would you do it?
My
What's your favorite depiction of a lawyer in a movie, TV series, or book?
Paul Newman in The Verdict. Yeah, I mean, he was nominated for an Academy Award for it. It was just, just a tremendous depiction of, yeah, like my early practice years, a small solo lawyer who was also struggling with keeping the bills paid, but just the way the portrayal of the opportunities to compromise your integrity and having to really make the right decisions and do the ethical thing for your client, it really laid it out nicely. And it's one of those, and I saw it before I graduated law school, and it kind of helped to inspire me to just keep on with it.
What's the best career advice you've ever received?
One of my jobs while I was going through college was working as a VA work studies student, and my supervisor was a retired Air Force major. I ran into him some few months after I graduated law school. He had a nice chance to have to reacquaint, and I told him about what I had done, that I had graduated law school, and he had said, "You've only begun to start learning. Learn every day and do good." And that's why he left it with me. And that's a pretty heavy load in my book. I'm a perpetual student, and I try to do good, but I will say I'm a perpetual student, and I'm constantly reading something.
I'd love to hear from you about a time where you had to figure out a problem for a client. And, how did it go?
One of my previous engagements was with a company that had been maintaining and keeping their email forever, going from Lotus Notes into Outlook. And that is a huge risk. And of course, what I was always hearing, but we might need it just in case. And there was not a one silver bullet that changed things. It was a case of having to spend a lot of time building confidence with my colleagues, not just with the leadership, but with the colleagues that worked with me and the ones that were, the people that were the analysts and the workers. A lot of time spent going through and just laying out what the risks were. This isn't a real good idea to have. And eventually we were able to make some really significant changes. We were able to require that if it's a record email, that it goes into certain folders. If it's not, after a certain amount of time, it rolls off. And yes, there was a lot of stress that went along with it. There was a lot of angst, but the outcome was well worth it. One, they were on a much better footing compliance-wise and risk-wise, but also they freed up a lot of space and just really get a peace of mind and a confidence that, okay, something that I said 5 years ago isn't going to come back and bite me now. The outcome
I feel like that's one that a lot of people, and clients don't think about, from the privacy angle. So I love how you were able to address it, how you were able to build trust, to say, hey, this kind of isn't a good idea, right? And then you were able to make that change. I'm sure the client really appreciated it. Do you feel like one of the biggest challenges might have been just building that trust in the relationship?
Absolutely. That begins on day one when you walk in. When I mentioned about flexibility and about being a sponge, all along with that, you build that trust by, one, letting folks know, I don't know everything. I may know a little bit more here, but you know a lot more than me there. Let us come together and reason together and find a solution. It takes time, but that relationship building is so important for everything that we do.
Thank you so much for your time, Jeff. This has been a wonderful conversation. And we are so excited to be able to share your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience with all of our folks at Paragon, our clients, our attorneys, our legal professionals. So just thank you for the conversation today.
Thank you so much, Dana. So nice to meet you, and hope to run into you again.
Thank you.